Okay. Here we go. It's off to a great start.
So far, so good. I'm happy about it. Are we on? Is it happening?
No, we're on. Oh yeah,
We are.
we are
Oh.
so on.
Okay. All right. Okay. It's pre-show. We're about to show. This is the pre. And I'm excited because I just had Roland watch Too Many Cooks for the first time. He'd never seen it. So before I even say anything about it, what did you think?
It felt like a fever dream and not
Mhm.
the good kind, you know?
What's the good
And
kind?
I don't know. I have this weird thing with repetition where if like things repeat a lot and like a certain thing, like if a song has just one lyric, by the way, the worst quality you can ever have in music, you know, you put all this work in the beat and the song's just one line, it's terrible and I'll never listen to it.
Mm.
And it gives me this feeling of anxiety. And that's what this was. It's just like it kept going and going and going. I will say there's like a middle part where this like kind of creepy guy that you keep seeing in the background, but he doesn't get the title.
He's in there
third.
from the seventh shot.
Yeah.
I mean, 7 frames into it, it's like, boom.
I mean, he's an eye-catching character, so I was lucky enough to see him kind of early on and wondering like, what's this guy doing? But the whole like her running out of the intro, and then you kind of hear the theme music following him wherever he goes, and this like weird pausing. It was so creepy. That was my favorite part. Everything else is just like terrifying, and I hated it. But that was
hated
awesome.
it.
Hate's a strong word.
Hate's a very strong word. This quite literally changed my life.
How so?
I'm sending you a picture in the chat. I don't know if we can put that on the show. Can we?
Wow.
Dan, can we put it on? Is it possible?
Let me see. I'm working on it.
All right. So basically, this came out on Halloween in 2015, and I was in college, and I saw this, and granted, I was going through some stuff. I had just gone through a bad breakup, and I saw this, and I became obsessed. And one of the classes I was taking was television criticism, and I had to come up with a final project. This came out at the exact right time. I wrote a 25-page paper on this, and ended up sending it to the creator, Casper Kelly, who did at least look at the title page. But I love this for a number of reasons. It's a master class in meta, and the title of the paper was Reality Negotiation, because if you know anything about this, it started out, it aired on Halloween at 3 a.m. on Adult Swim. So if people were watching Adult Swim at the time, this thing comes on and you think it's just a rerun of an 80s show you never heard of.
Yeah.
And so you're watching it, and for a brief period of time, it creates a reality in your living room in which it's an alternate timeline in which this show existed. And you buy into that. Then it goes on too long, and it goes back to you watching TV, it pulls you back out, and you go, okay, I'm watching something. Yeah.
There it is.
That was my cover page for the paper. So I think he looked at the title page.
Is that all they said? They just said
no, I mean he appreciated it. That was like the main takeaway. But he's anyway, I loved it. It was kind of what's the word?
Surreal.
Not surreal. Yeah, it's very surreal, but like it predicted a lot of what would come. And I think it predicted a lot of this multiverse fad that we're seeing, where it's like, how can we put everybody and everything into one thing so that it'll appeal to everybody. Everybody can find a way in to relate to it, and we'll get every writer from every show, and it'll have a little bit of everything for everyone. And then to put that even further, it's 2015, but like it really made a comment on social media and how everybody's got their name under their smiling picture, and everybody's making their own content. And the last shot of the Brady Bunch thing, before that was just the Brady Bunch. That was just, 9 people sharing a screen. But if you look at that now, what it ended up looking like was a huge Zoom call. And like all of us I'm on a blue screen right now because I'm wearing a green shirt today. But that's where we are in media right now. Anyway, I loved it. I want to hear more about what you say, what you think about it, because it's brilliant to me, but it's not to everybody.
I mean, I don't get me wrong, I do like this and I find it so fascinating. And there's like so many moments in there, like, because I can only imagine if you, for some reason, it was Halloween, you're staying up till like 3 a.m, the TV's on, and then this comes on and you're like, all right, well, this might be funny. Like they might have some really bad jokes. Let's sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine just sitting there so immersed with it and just watching and being like, when is this going to end?
Right.
Because when you're watching on YouTube, you can like see like, oh, it's 11 minutes and 4 seconds. I know.
Yeah, I didn't know. My friends were just like, you ever see Too Many Cooks? I go, no. And it was, he showed me and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And to go back to the levels of reality that exist here, like then you get sucked into the show. It turns into an animated show. It turns into a Lost show. I mean, every show you can imagine. There's a Star Trek segment.
Sci-Fi. There's a horror line going in there.
But when the titles freeze and you realize that the smile is the last thing that they do before they die, before they get murdered, and it's now they're running through the sets and time has frozen. And it sort of, begs the question, like, what time is it when a theme song is going on? Because sometimes they're not even clips from the show. And it's just like, when did that happen? And so there's like this third reality between the person watching it and the show. And that's, the intro. And then running through the set where like they're frozen in time. There's like 5 or 6 different dimensions. And one of the things that I drew a map of all the different dimensions that exist in Too Many Cooks, because you go into so many different worlds, even without going through the different genres. And then it starts breaking and it starts, the glitches. And then the titles are the characters and the characters are the titles. And the characters are screaming, which then makes you think, are the titles screaming every time those go up? And it's such an interesting exercise for your imagination to be like, where does this all exist? And I don't know.
Adult Swim is fantastic for this kind of content because they're my favorite channel because they really have no rules or holds. They're like, if it's weird, do it. Yeah. And I mean, during April Fool's Day of this year, Andrew, do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
I watched all of it. I was so into it. I sadly wasn't watching actual Adult Swim, but I saw the YouTube premiere of it because they posted all of it on their YouTube. But basically what they did for April Fool's was they included this little show at the very beginning. It was this kid show. It was like very, bland, generic, whatever. And for some reason there was like a glitch and it would get brought into the shows that they were airing. So it's like Rick and Morty, Smiling Friends, a fantastic show, by the way, if anybody hasn't seen it. And it would get darker and darker and darker. And as long as they were in the Adult Swim world, they were getting like corrupted, and like it was like a bunny, and I think I don't remember, but it was like it was starting to like bleed this like black void coming out. It was just like so weird and surreal, even though you're watching these iconic shows.
This was the first one to do that. And since that, like the way they were able to pull it off, because it's an 11-minute short. And what they were experimenting with at the time was infomercials, like fake infomercials. And those, by the way, are also really funny, but they gave this guy 11 minutes to work with, and it's not an infomercial, but it was an incredible experiment. And so then this went viral. It got millions and millions of views within the first week. And then they kept trying to recreate it. And so they did unedited footage of a bear. They did a bunch of other, and like nothing ever measured up to it. I think what you're talking about is close, because they bring in those, you know, they expand the reality and pull on a joke until it starts driving you insane. It's a real college man sense of humor these days. But yeah, it was good times. All right. I'm getting notes that we're talking too much about Too Many Cooks, but I'm so glad I got to share that with you today. Really. Thank you for sitting through it. And
thank you for giving it to me and letting me watch it.
Dan, I don't know how much of it you saw, but you should take a look. But in the meantime, I think we got a show to start. Let's start the show.
Oh, we can't do that yet.
But first,
no, we gotta talk about comments of the week. Like we gotta
comments
do that
of the week. We gotta we gotta do the comment of the week.
Are you trying to run away from this? Is this?
I just don't know if you're gonna do it. I think you're gonna do.
Okay.
Are you gonna do that?
Okay.
What's the comment of the week, Dan? What's the comment of the week,
we'll
Dan?
See. Yeah.
Okay.
There's our comment of the week.
Shall I give it a shot?
Yeah,
okay, comment of the week from Yainen Sai Chow. We tried our best. This movie is so good. I watched it 4 times. Am I weird? So many things I missed out because too much was happening. Very unique, strange, different, funny, and action-packed movie. 8 out of 10.
It's a pretty good score. Yeah.
Pretty good score. You know, everything, everywhere, all at once. I do. So that is, to take this back to what we were saying, I do think that a lot of this multiverse content and the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff, like it all strikes me as very Too Many Cooks, you know. But that's a discussion for possibly later in the show. Who knows?
Yeah.
No,
and Roland, I believe you have another comment of the week.
Do we really?
We got a bonus. You should read this one out for us.
We've been killing it, apparently, with the comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, Kimberly Frankel.
Oh, shout out to whoever that is.
Yeah. Enjoying the unscripted, thoughtful, insightful discussion and commentary, as well as the energy of the follow-up quick cuts. Very refreshing.
Thank you, Mom.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Was she referring to like quick hits when she says quick cuts? I couldn't tell.
Possibly. I think she likes the pre-taped segments. This is one of those unique cases of YouTube where I can have dinner with her and ask what she thinks later on. Follow up on that. Yeah, no, she's wonderful, and we appreciate the support. And
thank you, Andrew's mom.
Yeah, thank you, Kimberly Frankel.
Absolutely. Any TV shows you guys are watching? Anything there?
You know what?
Touch on.
I was informed about Boston Legal, which ran close to a decade ago. It's got William Shatner and James Spader as lawyers, and it's a pretty good show.
Yes, I
Pretty
do
good
know.
show.
My grandfather recommended that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's light, it's funny, it's smart. I hate the theme song with a passion, and Hulu doesn't give you the option to skip it. And so I'll be sitting there and it's like they'll have like a dramatic pause and then bow 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 bow, and I just I hate it. Anyway,
So
yeah.
you're
What are
saying
you guys
it's
watching?
kind of like CSI Miami, right?
Is that what I've never watched? Is that what it?
No,
No,
you've never watched CSI Miami with the Horatio.
I've never watched CSI
glasses?
anything.
I saw a meme like years ago. That's it.
Like literally each episode starts with some sort of like somebody gets killed, right? Like you get usually good cop shows. The show starts with a scene of somebody dying, like the crime of the week, and
Right.
then the cops show up, and Horatio is like the lead actor in there. I'm pretty sure that's his character name, not the actor's name. And he surveys the situation. Then he's big with sunglasses. It's Miami, right? It's sunny in Miami, and then he lets off some cheesy pun. And then he puts his glasses
Like every
on, and
week?
then you go into the intro, and it's like the Who, like it's just the whole. I'm really doing a bad job of describing this to you guys. Let me see if
So
I
he
can
does
pull
this like every week. He sees like a dead body and he's like, you know, it'd be fantastic if we just made like a pun.
That's straight out of Law and Order. Although CSI technically wasn't that a spinoff of Law and Order?
I have no idea. There's so many like shows that are in that weird connectedness.
I know.
You mean like the world of Dick Wolf?
The world of the Dick Wolf cinematic universe.
Yeah.
The multi
the DWU the DWCU. There we go.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can pull this up. Let's see if this actually works. I don't know if you're gonna be able to even hear this. How am I gonna get the audio to you guys? Let's see. Can I do this?
Oof.
Audio.
Some pre-show net cracks for you.
Screen capture audio? Is that how I'm gonna grab it? Maybe that's how we're gonna do this. Okay. That's how we're gonna do this. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Let me show you what I mean. Oh.
So close.
You guys are
You're nothing. I hear you. I hear roll. I hear me. Because I see.
Oh, it's gone.
Who? Just like in general?
That was haunting. Okay.
Yeah, we were all there with you, Dan.
Wait, you could hear that? You could hear the echo? No. Okay, it's just me. Okay, You know what? We'll do this another day. You guys just look it up. Like, let me. I'll send you the link. CSI Miami Horatio. Like that's he's good with the one-liners. That's his thing. It's funny.
Take a look.
At least I think it's funny.
Alrighty, Roland, you watching anything?
I just finished Russian Doll season 2, and I gotta say, was not a fan.
Why did you watch all of it?
Because I like the show. All right, Andrew. Sometimes people like to commit, and that's what I do.
I told you. I watched the first 15 minutes of the first episode and could not continue.
Yeah. Well, I love the first season, and the first season it like ends, and you're like, I have questions still, and then we wait 4 years, and we're like, what's the deal? What's happening?
Yeah.
And so I want to know, like, do they find the answer, this or that? And so I keep up with it. It's very short. I think it's 7 episodes. I don't know why we're in this trend where there's just so few episodes per season.
Okay.
They're cheap.
Well, there's that, but like
back in my day, Mad Men ran 26 episodes, 40-something minutes.
Right.
And we said okay, and we sat down and we watched all of it.
Did you watch all of Mad Men?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. There's so many
It's a lot of
episodes.
episodes.
That's another one where like I made it to season 3, and then I had to sit down and have a real honest talk with myself and say, Andrew, are you enjoying this?
Yeah.
And I looked up at me and I said, no. I said, you know what? That's okay. You can stop if you want. And I said, really?
I was an advertising major, so like I had.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. Fun fact.
I learned something new every day.
I did not know. Yeah.
I'm terrible at advertising. Like I'm not good marketing. Why? Like I can like when it comes to promoting, I'm just not I can give a review. I can maybe talk somebody into something. Like I can do a little pitching thing, but when it comes to just like constant promotion, I'm terrible at it. I can't. There's so much content. But just we went off the track. Season 2, Russian Doll.
Right.
First, I probably terrible, hated it. The main character, who I loved so much in the first season, she was just like, there's so many moments where it's just like, can you not be yourself for like 5 seconds? Can you just answer somebody with a simple sentence? You don't have to give like this elaborate thing to prove your talking skills. But I will say, not the second to last episode I think was getting there, but the finale was fantastic.
That's another Netflix show, right?
I think it saved it, honestly, because there's so many. What?
It's Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's Netflix. Yeah, it's written and produced by Amy Poehler, the star of the show, Natasha Lyonne.
Yeah.
One other person.
Are they still playing the Harry Nilsson song? Gotta Get Up.
They actually do. You're not gonna watch it.
No, I'm not.
They do. I think the last episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Harry Nilsson fan. I thought, oh, they're using it for this. So I don't know. Do you think, is this the end? Are they going to make more?
I don't know.
And more importantly, would you watch it if they did?
Probably.
Look at
I'm
that.
not gonna lie. I like the aesthetic of Russian Doll. There's so many like amazing shots and just like cool world building. And there's something they need to use more of Alan. Alan is the co-lead to the show, and they did not use him enough in this season. I was kind of sad because I like him. He's just like this sweet, boring dude.
Sweet, boring dude.
He's not. Nah, he's pretty boring. But he's
sometimes
just like,
you need a sweet, boring dude. It's okay to be a sweet, boring dude.
Yeah, because it evens the pair, because Natasha Lyonne's character, Nadia, is just super eclectic. You know, she has this style that is like, it's just this very like New York,
bohemian,
ultra hipster type style that I love. I don't know if I could ever pull off, but she's out there. She's always chain smoking. She's always referencing things that you have no idea what it's about. And then there's just sweet, boring old Alan. I don't know. Dan, have you watched any of Russian Doll? I think we talked about this.
Dan?
He's not listening to us.
He's just setting stuff up.
He's just setting stuff up.
He doesn't care.
Yeah, sweet, boring Dan.
He's not even listening. Hi, Dan.
Dan, say nothing if you will double our invoices. Well, Andrew, high five.
Bang. Oh, we went the opposite way. Hold on a second. Yeah. Nice.
I lost track of what are you guys talking about?
It's fine.
Oh, just stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's we how are we doing on the show setup? Are we about there? We got a little bit more time.
I actually no, we were there. We were all the way there. I just I couldn't help myself with this Horatio piece.
Oh, are you compiling a Horatio?
Are you just looking at
montage? Or are you just watching?
I was watching so I can set it up properly, but yeah.
Oh, I see. Well, yeah.
You guys want to watch? Let's take a quick peek at this.
Sure. Okay. Let's take a quick
I can't
peek.
help myself. I'm sorry. I just enjoyed this too much. Okay, let me set you guys up here.
Killer might be trying to get our attention.
I don't know. But he just got mine.
I should ID her as Claire Trinner. Nice business dress, probably on a break.
Yeah, I can't hear it either.
Crossfire.
That's what happens when worlds collide.
She was famous for being famous. All eyes.
All right. Well, never mind. You know, this happens a lot. Okay.
Yeah, you were muted too for a second.
You guys can hear me now, right?
I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. Let me try
cool
something
from afar.
It looks like a well-produced show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
I
happened.
thought it was a short Conan O'Brien for a second, though. I'm not gonna lie. Andrew, who's your favorite late night host?
Oh, I do not care for them. Period. I was overjoyed to hear that James Corden is evaporating.
I saw that. Somehow Ellen is
right?
finally coming to a close. Wait, yep. Dan.
Ellen's coming to a close? You're a little soft, Dan, but yeah.
You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Late night.
I thought she got like it was done, like the show ended.
Yeah, but she's I don't know, they're stretching it. I think they're trying to make it the nicest end possible.
Yeah.
Fine. You know, there's a lot
of people. They made her a lot of money, so I guess they're trying to like reel it in as smooth as they can.
Yeah, but now she produces stuff, and there was talk of her doing like an animated series for a little bit, and like there's all kinds of it was just there's so many other things that she can do, but that's what we're seeing a lot of with like the canceled people is there's now people who are just saying like I'm gonna step back before I do get canceled and just like I made it and that's it. I'm gonna take my hat out of the ring. So yeah, I have watched some Bill Maher clips here and there. Stephen Colbert really disappointed me as soon as he left the Colbert Report. And
I like Stephen Colbert as a person, but like, I don't know, sometimes watching his show, it seems like it's
he used to really prioritize comedy, and now it's really just more about the Late Show.
Yeah.
And
hey, you guys want to see Jim Carrey do Horatio? Like he does a
actually, I think I've seen this clip.
It's what is that David Letterman? I think it's Letterman. It's on Letterman. Yeah, this is from back in the day.
You get a nice, real intense close up here.
Yeah. Okay, David Caruso style.
Looks like Fabio with his hair.
Right? Also, no, Dan, we can't.
Well, I guess we've found our man.
I like Jim.
Oh, I love Jim Carrey. I've been actually watching In Living Color.
Oh,
you guys couldn't hear that?
Living Color.
No, we never hear it.
God damn it.
Can you hear us, by the way, whenever you're playing a video?
I can. I totally can. Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes we're like, Dan, we can't hear it. We can't hear it. And then you just keep playing it. So we don't know.
Freaking hell. Okay. We could try to fix this. All right. Let me try this. Okay. This is still pre-show. Okay. It's a pre-show shenanigans.
But yeah.
All right.
It's true. This is what the pre-show is all about. We give you a glimpse behind the scenes. We even had just to help you signal that we're in pre-show mode.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Oh, are we doing this?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna exit the Zoom call for a second, then I'll be right back. That's how I'm gonna see if I can try to fix this. All right.
All right.
Okay.
It's just the blue and green screen buddies.
Yep.
Recording stopped.
Yeah, blue, green, and purple down there. We're the cool colors.
Honestly, it's not bad.
All right, let's see if we can get this back up and running here. Oh, this is painful. Painful stuff.
Down there, we're the cool colors.
Honestly, it's not bad.
All right.
That narcissist. He's the only one on the show now.
Yeah.
I think they're back. All right, let's see if we can get this back up and running here. Oh, this is.
Oh, we're back on the show.
Wow. Painful. You're playing me back to myself. I see how it is.
That's the echo you're hearing now.
Yes. I can hear that.
Narcissist. He's the only one.
Ah, that was on the show.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna. You know what? Let's try one more time. Let's see if we can hear Jim Carrey. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta first move these
Three
things
different
out
colors.
of the way.
It's actually like kind of
Chat. Yeah.
It's like yes, it's a show.
It's actually nice and calming.
I agree. Maybe this is what we'll do from now on.
This is what we needed, I think.
You get a nice, real intense close-up here.
Still can't hear it.
Holy crap.
Well, I guess we've
Andrew, just let him have it. Just let him have it.
found our man.
That's hilarious.
How can you?
So funny.
Okay. Just look it up. Just look it up. Whatever.
So
I give up.
Really, really good.
I give up.
Oh my gosh, that Jim Carrey, and then he was doing the character from the.
What a
show.
character.
Man.
I give up. Okay. All right.
What a good show. What a good pre-show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In Living Color, that was a great show.
In Living Color was actually fantastic.
It such was. It was.
And that's, I don't know, because he did audition for SNL.
Yeah.
You can see his SNL audition, and I guess for some reason they made the wrong call.
Yeah.
But he's his whole story. I don't know if he has a biography, but that's probably one worth reading. Because he's somebody who really, really wanted what he went for. He knew what he was, and he always talks about like manifesting his future and
yeah.
You know,
what was it? The 10,000 check or the 100,000 check?
I think it was for 10 million.
Was it 10 million? Okay.
Yeah. And he just wrote it to himself, and that was the idea that like, I'm not going to cash this until, you know, it's a promise to myself that I will be able to cash at some point.
Yeah.
And then there's a part of that story that's, you know, how attached to his dad and how he was fulfilling this dream that his dad had, because his dad was also really funny and brilliant. And so when he died, he slipped the check into his dad's pocket when they buried him. Pretty nice. Wow. But, you know, you don't see a lot of actors right now who nobody overacts, everybody underacts right now. Because modern acting trends say do less and less, and that's more compelling. And when everybody's doing less, I ask myself, well, why am I watching this? You know, and there's a balance to be struck between entertaining and representing real life, because I don't know if everybody does underact in real life. In real life, people act, and now also because everybody's on social media, they pantomime, and I find most performances are unbelievable now to me, because unless they're like really old, and I'll talk about this with Memory later on, because this was my big issue with it, was the acting. But like, I don't know, characters don't have personalities anymore, and Jim Carrey's always did.
Yeah.
And sometimes he was overacting, but other times he was really bringing something different to these people.
I saw something where it was like for The Mask, the production team saved, I think, like 20% of the budget, like some weird number, on Jim Carrey, because his actions were so cartoony and over the top that it saved them time during editing.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. I mean,
Okay.
the visual effects are not the highlight of that movie.
I don't know. There's
Jim
some
Car-
cool visual effects in
There
there.
are some really cool ones, but like you watch it for, the Cuban Pete scene with the maracas, and that's just a quick cut. You watch it for, him running away and like he does all of it. And, like they tried making Son of the Mask.
Oh, with the guy from
flop.
Scream. Yeah.
It's,
Jamie something.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Was it Jamie?
But
was it Jamie?
I mean,
Kennedy?
Jim Carrey was the first, I believe, actor to have 3 #1 movies in America within the same year.
Yeah, apparently he's huge in France also. Like they just love whatever he does. But
yeah. Sorry, Dan's going crazy.
Dan,
Hi,
you going
Dan.
crazy?
No, I was just asking, can you guys actually, are you seeing me in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because I was worried that wasn't working either. Oh, God.
We haven't heard an echo this entire time, but if we do, like, we'll let you know.
Okay.
Are you hearing echo? So when you're hearing an echo, are you hearing it with yourself? Are you hearing it with both of us? Like, what is your...
Okay. Can you guys hear an echo now?
You're muted.
No, I'm talking.
Yeah, you're muted. We haven't heard an echo this entire...
Okay. Well, okay, so you couldn't hear that then. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. But you can hear me now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I guess we'll have to just roll with this.
All right. Because me and Andrew were talking about Jim Carrey for like 2 hours.
2 hours.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Wonderful content for those of you watching.
Yeah.
Letting you know that what you just saw was great.
Recording in progress.
Okay.
Alrighty.
I'm all set to go for the show, guys, if you are. Got lots to get through today.
Yes. Yes, indeed. All right. Well, I suppose in that case, it's time to turn the green screens back on. Or maybe not. I don't know. Do you want to keep this cool colored aesthetic going through the whole thing?
Your blue is really nice, Andrew.
Thank you. Thank you. It's the opposite side of my green screen. Dan, your call.
What?
Do we want professional backgrounds or do you want...
I like the whole LA thing you got going on.
Here we go. Let's go to LA.
I'm going to do this and promote my movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. All right. Well, it looks like the show is about to start. Let's roll the intro. Let's put on our happy faces. This is show business, people.
Actually, just can you buy me like maybe one more?
But we're gonna wait for maybe another minute.
Please do.
And I'm gonna, yeah. I have been live streaming, on my own.
Yeah.
With this wonderful equipment that I now have. And I'm trying to grow my personal YouTube channel, which is, mostly music and some really creepy animation. And
oh, really?
Yeah. I went through a phase where I thought maybe my way into a really great voiceover career was to make my own content. And so I started animating. It's a lot of work. I'm getting a note.
Yeah.
I think we're ready to go. I think we're ready to start the show. So hang on, you people. We got an intro coming your way, and I hope you're ready for a really good episode of Oh So Curious. Hello, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and other places. I'm Andrew Frankel. With me is Rolan and Dan. I don't know how to say either of your Daniel Kahn and Roland Bowler. Yes. What is it? How do you say it?
It's pronounced Underground.
Underground.
Yes.
Rolan Underground.
Yeah.
This is a new episode, a boys only episode of Oh So Curious. We are 3 curious boys, and it's gonna be a good show. We're talking about movies. We're talking about shows. I think we're talking about other stuff too. In fact, Roland, would you like to take us through the rundown of what's happening today? Because I don't know.
I don't mind at all. Let's do it. All right, first up, we have the quick hits, or the quick cuts, as Andrew's mom likes to say.
Oh, we're going to... Okay.
Okay. Next up, we have our review of Memory, Liam Neeson's new movie. Then we talk about our review of Moon Knight, episode 5 or 6. One of them, who knows?
6.
It's one of the later episodes. And then we talk about dating apps and the problems with them. In the next episode, we'll be talking about Doctor Strange 2. So make sure you're getting your tickets and you have us on notifications to watch our review.
Well, that was a
Good
pretty
stuff.
well done rundown. Nicely done. Thank you.
I learned from the best. So.
Yeah, I'm beautifully coordinated. Yeah. Well, guys, we are doing a good job today. I will say that. Well, in that case, let's get started with those quick hits. Who did do quick hits this week?
I think Brian.
Brian?
I think it was
Heard from
Brian. Yeah.
Okay.
Good old
Well,
Brian.
take us to Brian.
Hello, everybody. I'm Brian Jennings. It's time for some quick hits, and here's what went down this week. Lots of announcements and sneak peeks from this week's CinemaCon. Disney and 20th Century Studios revealed the title for the long-anticipated, ever so delayed Avatar sequel from James Cameron. Coming to theaters on December 16th, it will be called Avatar: The Way of Water. Interesting. Is that a Mandalorian reference by Cameron, by the way? Actually, I wouldn't know because I haven't seen all of the Mandalorians. So yeah, I need to go and finish that up. But yeah, this is the way, I guess. But still, yeah, I wouldn't know if it's the way because I haven't finished Mandalorian. Anyway, in other news, James Corden is leaving The Late Late Show in 2023. Oh, I missed that carpool karaoke. Earlier this week, he announced the news on the show saying, quote, "It's a really hard decision to leave because I'm so immensely proud of the show." Corden just signed a 1-year extension with CBS to stay until summer 2023 and intends on, quote, "going out with a bang." You go, James. Speaking of leaving, because that seems to be the theme for this week apparently, John Watts announced this week that he'll be leaving the Fantastic Four movie over at Marvel Studios. Wonder why. The departure was on amicable terms, as Watts is just looking for a break from the superhero genre. Interesting. He's now headed to Apple TV Plus to direct George Clooney and Brad Pitt in a new movie about 2 rival fixers. Cool. Yeah, I think I would want to direct George Clooney and Brad Pitt too. But anyway, lastly, we have some trouble brewing in the... Oh, Jesus, no.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Not this again. Oh, I don't even know if I want to read this last story. I'm getting sick of this stuff. I'm getting fed up. We have some trouble brewing in, yes, the family.
You don't turn your back on family.
Unbelievable. Director Justin Lin announced this week that he is leaving Fast X. I wonder why. After merely 1 week into production on the film. He'll stay on as a producer, but Universal Pictures must now scramble to find a replacement while production continues. But hey, maybe Vin Diesel can hop into the director's chair. Honestly, I felt like he already has. And yeah, if he did that, I don't know if it would be for the good of family, but it would be for the family, right?
What's real is family.
But yeah, that's the quick hits for this week. I hope you enjoyed them. And by the way, before you leave, before you take off, have you been watching Moon Knight? Because I haven't. There's one episode left to go, and I believe that's for season 1 to wrap up. And we've reviewed every episode so far. So make sure that you check out all of the episodes, both of Moon Knight and of Oh So Curious, and the reviews, and let us know how you're enjoying the show. But yeah, those are the quick hits for this week. I'm Brian Jennings. We'll see you next time. Recording in progress. Doing them quick hits, gotta do the quick hits because Daniel told me so. That's so funny. Gotta do the quick hits, gotta do the quick hits because Daniel told me to do the quick hits. Gotta do the quick hits, gotta do the quick hits, gotta do quick hits because Max didn't. That is so funny.
Okie dokie. This was our assignment for the week. We got to go see Liam Neeson's Memory, which is about a hitman who is suffering with the early stages of Alzheimer's. It's a different take on an action movie. He's fantastic in it. We see depth, we see action, we see him cauterize his own bullet wound, which was yikes. I mean, that was a tough scene to watch. And we also get a little bit of insight into some of the conflicts on the U.S.-Mexico border around Texas and El Paso, where we are seeing child trafficking, we are seeing immigration detainment centers, and a bit of a power struggle between the FBI and local law enforcement and government and, I don't know, what you would call conspiracies about child trafficking with the ultra-wealthy. How's that for a summary? There's a lot going on in this movie, and it ran about 2 hours. And, Dan,
yeah,
I know what I thought of it. What was your main takeaway?
It's a good movie, but it's nothing standout. I figured like some of the themes are sort of like Sicario,
Okay.
and it kind of
in what way?
With the trafficking and illegal immigration, if you want to call it that, or stuff that's happening at the border between the U.S. and Mexico. So there's some very. I'm making a pretty loose connection here because I'm trying to get away from the comparison with literally every other Liam Neeson movie that he's done probably in the last 5 to 6 years, or last 10 years, if you will.
Sure.
Yeah, just about.
I'm not someone who's seen a lot of Liam Neeson movies. And I gotta say, like, his performance carried the entire movie. And yeah, he's a fantastic actor. He's really good at what he does. And in addition to the action, like, we really do see somebody who doesn't know if he can trust himself with his own mind. And that's compelling on its own. I just didn't see enough evidence of that affecting the plot through the whole thing. And there were times when I was like, why am I even watching Memory? This just, until the very end.
That's kind of the thing. I think they had a concept, but it's sort of, the concept didn't bleed too far into the plot of the film. It's like literally the poster of the movie. Let me put it up again. There's a tagline on the poster. I don't know if you can read it. It's kind of tiny here, but it says, his mind is, what is it? His mind is fading. His conscience is clear.
Conscience.
Yeah, which actually it's on the graphic that we have up here. So that right there is probably the premise of the movie, that this guy's doesn't have the best of memory, and people can take advantage of that, and his adversaries can use that against him. But it sort of devolves into more, like I said, like Taken, or what was the new recent one that he had? Like, what's it called, Blacklight, or
Taken 2?
Well, they were like every Taken movie is virtually the same thing, but he's done like
the trailer did
5,
look a
6
lot
other.
like,
Huh?
I said the trailer did look a lot like Taken. It was giving that vibe.
I mean, you gotta appreciate the one thing that, look, people at this point have come to expect a certain brand of movie from him, and as producers, like, I mean, they're making these because they probably are not like losing a ton of money, right? I mean, they don't spend a ton of money making them. They do well enough, if not in the theaters, then in theatric, in rentals, and in Blu-ray, DVD, like the aftermarket home distribution stuff. They make enough of their money back for these to be profitable enough and to continuously make more. So there's the rationale is probably just that, like, hey, we know our audience. It's kind of like what Bruce Willis did for a while. Well, okay, so I'm not gonna walk into that trap again. Okay. But I'm trying to come up with another comparison where, well, you could say maybe Brad Pitt even. Like Brad Pitt for a long time tried to like diversify and do different kinds of roles, but people just like the cool and calm and collected Brad Pitt who's just going through life being Brad Pitt.
By the way, have you been seeing the trailers for his new movie coming out? I think it's called
Bullet
Train.
The Bullet Train? That actually looks really good.
It's, you know what? Like I've had to sit through that trailer like 4 or 5 times in the last month, and every time I see it, I go, yeah, maybe I'll enjoy that. Maybe I'll watch. And I like it a little bit more every single time. At first, I thought it was a Street Fighter like adaptation because everything's so stylized.
It's based on a book.
Interesting. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know anything
best-selling
about it,
novel.
But that looks pretty good. But back to Memory. Just my issue with it, because Liam Neeson is such a powerful performer, and really knew what he was doing. I did not find that all of the other actors in this movie carried their own weight. I thought a lot of the performances left a lot to be desired. They took me out of it constantly. And back to what I was saying before, is like some of these scenes really just felt like acting scenes. You know, the monologues didn't feel credible. The lines felt kind of stilted and rehearsed. I didn't buy anything except for the scenes with Liam Neeson.
Didn't this movie have like Guy Pearce and Monica Bellucci in it? Is that the 2 main supporting roles?
Yeah, wasn't impressed.
I mean, hey, Martin Campbell, he directed Casino Royale. He's also done like some bad stuff.
And Green Lantern.
That too.
I know the whole time Dan was pitching this movie, not once did he say anything about Green Lantern. And then
why?
I did not know he directed Green Lantern. That's why. I just, that's like a blind spot because I don't even know if I've ever seen that movie all the way through, like even once. I feel like I've seen the whole thing in parts somewhere or another because it's like one of those movies that every once in a while it comes up on TV and you just kind of watch it from wherever it's playing, and then I've seen big chunks of it, but I've never seen it all put together. But I do remember having not a good impression of it. I had no idea Martin Campbell directed it until last week. Rolan brought it up. I'm like pitching Martin Campbell as the guy who did. Well, obviously in the marketing they were like, from the director who brought you Casino Royale, and
not Green Lantern.
And Green Lantern. They never mentioned the Green Lantern, of course. So yeah. Well, I guess I fell for the marketing. So.
Well, that's what it's there. That's what it's there to do. For you to be a sucker and a sap. I couldn't figure out what I was going to say there. Anyway, I was looking around the theater because some of the scenes really, they didn't have to be as long as they were. Everybody, and it wasn't like a packed theater or anything, but every time I looked around, somebody else was on their phone, just like, looking at the news. Or
you could probably listen to this movie and know what's going on.
Yeah. The one ridiculous scene is he's got a bullet wound, and he's a questionable character, so like he's pouring alcohol on it to sterilize it, and then he flat out takes some fire and cauterizes the bullet wound, and he just sears through the pain. It was not easy to watch that. But
basically like John Wick would do it. probably.
Is that okay? It was the first time I'd ever seen it on screen.
Well, not in that way, but we've seen variations of that done in those kind of movies. Like, there's 3 John Wick movies. I'm pretty sure in at least 2 of them he's had to cauterize a wound, and he's usually drinking alcohol or something to numb the pain, and
they
might even pour it on the wound.
Takes a swig. That's that's what you do. So bottom line, I don't think you're missing anything if you don't see this, and if you do, Liam Neeson does a good job. So enjoy that.
Yeah. Roland, did you have any thoughts?
No. And I think that's what I took away from the movie as well. Nothing. Not a single
thing.
Not a single thing.
We covered it.
Yeah, it's
because we're a thorough team.
That's right.
Yes.
Well, when it's like a very formulaic movie, it's just hard to take anything away. I don't know. There's just so many things that I saw from the trailer that there was just nothing appealing to me. There was just so many things that I could point out where they picked and choose what they wanted to make a decent movie, but it was, I don't know. I mean, like, what do you guys think of the ending?
Well,
we're getting the spoilers.
Well, we're gonna spoil it.
We already have a warning banner, so I guess we might as well.
Here's the issue with the ending. In the end, Liam Neeson, there's a whole cop showdown. He's running out of a hospital, and there's hundreds of officers with guns pointed at him, and he's like manages to make it into the backseat of this car with the FBI guy who he's going to collaborate with, and again, we can't tell if at any point the memory's fading or not, because through all of this, he's still an incredibly competent hitman. They do sort of the Memento thing where he's writing notes on his arm with a marker, but that didn't last for the whole movie. And so finally, he gets into the car, and then he says something, and he sounds like he's out of his mind. And he looks like he's forgotten where he is. And then he steps out of the car, and they just show the other FBI guy just there, and you hear all the gunshots, and he dies, and it's like, did he forget that he was in the middle of a cop showdown? And for that moment, I was like, that would have been a great way to end the movie, because that's the struggle, and that's the fear of Alzheimer's, is like, you wouldn't know your current situation. You could get lost. And I felt that was a very human thing and a very human way to end it. What happens after that is the last thing he said was a cryptic code for the detectives to realize, oh, he knew exactly what he was talking about. He just wasn't implicated. And so, then it's not that he didn't know where he was and the tragedy of, losing your mental faculties. It was, oh, he's still got it, and he died, and he went out on top, and it's like, okay.
It's like the subtlety of something like that can change it from, like a Western sort of an outlook on a movie, like, a Western film that's got a sort of like a tragedy to it, and turns it into like this was in theaters, but like a
blockbuster action movie, yeah.
Well, not even. I was gonna say it feels like a straight to DVD movie, sort of it takes it from
yikes,
almost. Well, this is definitely one of the better efforts from Liam Neeson in a while. But yeah, the subtlety of something like that with the plot, for example, even like you mentioned, the whole idea of he's writing stuff on his hands in Memento, it's not like a gimmick. Because they could have done it a few times and it would become a gimmick, but it was woven into the story, very deeply, woven into the story, and it was central to the character, and it wasn't just brought up a couple of times and then just forget about it. Whereas in this movie, it sort of feels that way because that's kind of what they do, and those kind of small creative choices, I think I'll make the probably not fair comparison, but the difference between what the Wolverine and Logan, because Logan was a masterpiece and the Wolverine was so close, but then and that's kind of the thing with these kind of movies. You just wish that some of these directors, producers, whoever's in charge of the story telling part of they do a better job there. It's because sometimes it's those minor things. Granted, they would have probably marketed the same way, would probably get the same level of attention, but Everything Everywhere All at Once is done better and better each successive weekend has been out.
Is that right?
After not getting off to a good start. And
That's
this is the kind of movie where it had those slight differences. It might have started out poorly, but then picked up because of good word of mouth. Whereas what it is now, I don't think it deserves that. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. Shall we move on?
Yeah. Well, but before we do move on, if you watch Memory and you're watching the show, let us know what you thought about the film. How much of the movie do you remember? Because it's one of those things where I felt like you could walk into theater, follow it, walk out, and forget largely what happens, and just remember, like broad stroke stuff, because it's sort of in many respects a forgettable film. But let us know if you thought the same. I guess.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and share the podcast wherever you find it, wherever you happen to be. Hang out with us. Comment. Maybe you'll be the comment of the week next week, Mom.
Yes.
So, yeah, let's move on. Let's talk Moon Knight episode 5. We've been keeping track of everything going on with this. We've been pretty much pumping out a review as soon as they drop. And this was one of these hidden episodes that nobody's seen yet until this week. This was the one where they say, oh, it gets really good in episode 5 and 6. I liked a lot of the devices they used in this, but I don't know. My enthusiasm has waned since episode 4. Roland, what did you think?
I thought it was good. I thought it was heart-wrenching. I don't know about you guys. I don't know how connected you guys are, but
yeah,
it was good. I liked it a lot. It was compelling. I was so excited to learn more about Mark's past, and oh yeah, by the way, spoilers.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, you can't
just
talk
go
about
into more of who he was and where Steven comes from, and Steven going. And
well, so that was my observation there is like, maybe the reason, and everybody I talk to about this is like, that British accent is not good. And I go, well, hold, it's it's like about the character. I'm trying to cut him some slack.
Yeah.
But then we find out that Steven is the invention of a 7-year-old boy trying to cope with his home life.
Yeah.
And so that's where that accent comes from. And so now I have to wonder, like, is it a bad accent or is it really good acting? That this accent is something that he came up with as a kid and just continued doing.
I would say the latter, right? Oscar Isaac isn't British, so just from if you look at the actor,
I also don't think he's Jewish, but he is in this.
Right. Well, that I'm not aware of either. I wasn't that I just didn't want to assume anything, but it's just what impressed me about this episode, I'm pretty sure I like in our group chat that we have throughout the week, I posted my feelings in emoji form for the most part after this episode, and I was feeling all kinds of different ways because there's a lot that happens, and much like what Roland said, when I say I had mixed feelings, I don't mean that like usually that's like considered a derogatory way to describe something, and it's not because like I didn't like the episode. I had mixed feelings in the sense that what's impressed me about the show the most, especially because I'm talking about Disney Plus standards, this show has moved at an absolutely torrid pace, and every episode has felt fulfilling in its own way, because a lot of Disney Plus shows, like when I say Disney Plus shows, I mean like, the Star Wars shows and the Marvel shows, what they call their premium shows. They have this tendency to drag stuff out from episode to episode, and you just really feel like things are going way too slow. Like, why can't we move quicker? Why is there not more plot? Why isn't there more character development? And sometimes when you do get that, it feels hollow, like the character development part. And then this show has, it just the last episode teased something. This episode gave us everything we needed to know from that last episode tease, and then where you leave things off, it's sort of it's in a fresh place where the next episode, if you just watch the next episode, you could watch that episode out of order and you wouldn't feel like you missed much other than, and they always review what's happened up to that point, and then you could just go back and watch the rest of the show. Whereas some other shows that I'm comparing it to, you watch that episode and it's like, wait, what? It doesn't make any sense, because each of these episodes has a very distinct 3 or 5 act structure where you have a beginning, middle, and an end. And whether it's the stuff that's happening on the boat in that plane of existence, or whether it's the character stuff, I just thought, I mean, cinematography wise, obviously you have 2 characters, so there's a lot of technically, challenging photography that happens throughout this episode. But then just kind of watching the whole episode felt to me like one long trippy dream sequence going on.
And they did some really good work
Mark's
with that, especially when they are spiraling up the same staircase in his childhood home. And every time he moves up that,
like,
he
how many
actually
floors
goes
are in
forward a
this
few
house?
years. Well, yeah, but like it became this time staircase, and it's like every time you go up, it's a different phase of his life. That's good movie magic, I would say, is like where you can turn space into time, and you can use it as a storytelling technique. I don't know if going up the stairs has ever been a storytelling technique used like that, but I was impressed. It was like an MC Escher etching.
Yeah.
I mean, the episode, let's just say this was it for me. The episode picked up exactly where the last one left off, and it kept that level of intrigue for me throughout. And emotionally, this episode, I think, got deeper, more grounded, and it covered new ground that the MCU I don't think has ever covered from a character development perspective. So I don't know why more MCU properties don't do this, but this is new for that franchise, and which is weird considering how deep and how many years and movies and TV shows deep into their franchise they are. And for the first time, you've seen something this real. I felt like, I can relate to that character more than most other characters in the MCU. Yeah.
Is that well, to Steven or Mark?
Well, to Mark, because Mark the person. Let's do this. We'll put a period on episode 5. Let us know what you guys thought of episode 5, and let's move on to talking about Steven, because I feel like that deserves
Steven.
I have a lot of questions. I also have some thoughts about Steven Grant.
Shall we talk in bad British accents for the rest of this segment?
We could. Definitely could. Yeah.
Steven.
So episode 6, the final episode of the show, the finale, is coming up. And unfortunately, the one character that will not be at least as of right now, what we know, the one character that will not be joining us is Steven with a V, Steven Grant, who, as we now know, was like an alter ego of Mark Spector, not the other way around. What are you guys expecting from the finale for the show?
I don't think that he's gonna disappear. I don't know what gives you that idea. First of all, like he was the first person the first identity that we met in the show, and like we bought it, and he's such a part of Mark. And there's even been teased other personalities that might exist. So I feel like if he doesn't come back next episode, he'll maybe come back in another season. We may meet other alter egos, or it could really, it could go the way where everything disappears and he's fine, but we miss the chaos and the intrigue of having other personalities. I could see it going that way.
I don't know. It's tricky with DID, and I definitely need to research more about it. But I think this isn't last we're going to see Steven. We'll probably see memories or something along those lines. But I wouldn't be surprised if Mark, in his mind, comes up with a way to bring Steven back. To bring that personality back, and we'll keep it in the roster.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. It's like there's a distinction between like how Mark and Steven trade off, and then how Khonshu also works in there. And is that all the same thing? Is even that in his head? And the fact that he's interacting with other people makes you think probably not. And so they are blurring the lines between the disorder and the mythology.
What really like what really hit me was the transition you see when he's standing outside at the funeral for his mom, like, and he refuses to come in, and his dad is like kind of waving him over, and and then he mentions like it's been 2 months since like their two lives started to blend together, but that's where you see him like from just this grieving moment to like transition over in a moment, like again, continuous shot, no cuts, nothing, into Steven, and he just all of a sudden starts talking on his phone, and you start to see, oh, there's no phone call happening here. I mean, from an acting standpoint, for Oscar Isaac to be able to flip the switch that fast and then just kind of roll that, it's the great acting. That's all I can say. That was impressive, and then you see like in that one shot you get 5 different questions that the show has set up answered. Like you get the answer about like the mom, you get like when did the current situation actually begin, which it seems like that's the root of it. Obviously going back to the start of how Stephen Grant the character happened, we know by that time, but then we find out where the show begins in episode 1 is sort of from that point on the street. There's a lot that happened in episode 5 that excites me for what's to come next. I mean, one more episode. The one difference between this show and again I've compared this to other Disney shows before, the Disney Plus shows. A lot of Disney Plus MCU shows, you feel like, oh my God, they've barely done anything in the first 5 episodes. This episode 6 has got so much ground to cover, and in this one you feel like episode 6 comes more naturally because there's already so much that's been happening.
They could blow us away. I do feel. I mean, my question was going to be, do you think there's a second season in this? But with MCU, it's like all they have to do is establish him, and if he pops up anywhere, it's just like, oh yeah, and everything serves as a sequel to something else or the follow-up, whatever. So do you see another series, or do you see him just being another ancillary superhero that shows up from time to time?
Roland?
I don't know. It's crazy how like these comic book movies are now turning themselves into live action comics where they can just have like these special cameos, and it's just like, hey, check it out. Yeah, Moon Knight is in this issue. He's in there for a second, but it's definitely interesting. I would love for there to be a season 2. I doubt it. They keep saying it's a limited series, but this character is very interesting, and I like him. He's a very underground character in itself, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they use his popularity and use him for like a different spin-off show. Maybe he's in what is it? The Midnight Suns?
That's the thing. That's what they could do, and that might be what they do with this last episode is, introduce other heroes that he teams up with.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for the Blade cameo. I mentioned that during the first episode.
Right, and that's kind of what I meant. Like, I'm like, there's so much that has already happened, but there still feels like there's so much more that is to happen, or the potential for there to be happen. I mean, they haven't promised anything, but I'm excited because Oscar Isaac, from what we know, he signed a 1-year, one season contract. So like he's only signed on for this 6 episode run of the show. It's also a limited series because that's how Disney submitted it to the Emmys. And in order to be a limited series, you can't have more than 1 season. That's just like the rules of it. I suppose it's not impossible for them to go back and do a second season, but what's more likely to happen, in my opinion, is you're likely to see him show up in other projects, maybe to transition him into the movies. But then again, like you look at the way the show has been going so far, for all I know, by the end of episode 6, the finale, that question will be answered because you'll be like, well, there is no reason for there to be a follow-up project and I'll leave it there. But Blade, I mean, the Black Knight, It's Black Knight, right? Is that's the character from the end of Eternals? Kit Harington plays
Kit
him?
Harington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it called Black Knight? It's Black Knight.
I don't know. I don't even know anymore. Let me do a quick Google.
It's not the Dark Knight.
We now
'cause
go
that would be like
live to
Batman.
correspondent Google.
Yes. Yes,
Google,
it is.
what do you have for us? Google confirms.
It is Black Knight. So
Well,
sad.
thank you.
Thank you, Google.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where this show goes. This show is after episode 1, I said this is easily by far the best show that Marvel has put out on Disney Plus. And that was episode 1. And I feel like every episode since has only confirmed that.
Did you watch the Netflix Daredevil and was it Black Widow?
Well, it was Daredevil, and then they had what was Jessica Jones?
Elektra. Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones is the one I was thinking.
Yeah, Luke Cage.
I was like, Jessica
Fist.
Jones, Luke Cage.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Yeah, I actually never got into those shows, but I know that now they're on Disney Plus too. You can kind of watch them. There's like a parental control thing attached to it, so if you set up a kid's account, they won't be able to see it because it's their rated R stuff. But it's on Disney Plus, and I think there was a report out recently that they might be doing a new Daredevil show for Disney Plus. I don't know if it at all ties into what they did on Netflix, because I think Kevin Feige always considered that separate. But yeah, Moon Knight is one of those characters.
Didn't they bring Daredevil in?
Yeah.
Didn't they bring Daredevil into the MCU in the last Spider-Man?
Yep.
They did, but there's all kinds of controversy or speculation, let's say, about whether that version of the Daredevil is exactly the same as the one from Netflix.
Are we gonna go back to, was it Ben Affleck?
No. They have the same actor. What's his name?
I know,
Charlie.
Charlie
Cox. Yeah.
The original Daredevil movie from like 2004, I want to say.
Yeah.
He might. I mean, there's speculation that Ben Affleck's Daredevil from that movie might cameo in the Doctor Strange movie that's coming out.
Yeah, they could do it if they wanted to.
I suppose. I'm not sure.
Interesting. Yeah, they're really opening up a Pandora's box here. Well, yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next. In the meantime, Roland, did you prepare something underground for us today?
I did. I've been anxious.
Have you?
And I've been thinking about my past movies and all my mistakes. So I made a little video so people can learn from my mistakes and be better.
And we hope you do. Let's see it.
Hi, welcome to Rolan Underground, where we talk about what's happening in the world above while in my grandparents' basement. I'm your host, riddled with anxiety. Yes. So we're doing yet another video of me, doing some helpful tips, because who doesn't like hearing advice from a young person? So I brought out the old director chair, and I wanted to talk about my past mistakes and how I'm grateful for them. Don't get me wrong, I'm still anxious, and I've had nights where I just think about them, but I'm still grateful for them, and I wanted to help any of the aspiring filmmakers out there, one indie boy to the next indie person. And yeah, so here are my credits, and then here are the films that we're going to be talking about that I have made. The basics. You really need to learn the basics. You think it would be basic knowledge, but it's not. For example, I didn't know how to work my camera until I went into college. Why? Because I'm an idiot. It's the truth. I really didn't know. There's so many shots in my first couple movies that are just blurry and they're out of focus, and the lighting is terrible. The lighting is garbage. I don't know why I did that to myself, but I did. It'd be essential, especially if you're working indoors. I mean, it doesn't have to be expensive. You can get a lighting kit for $150. That's how much mine was, and it's a 3 setup thing. But also, I think something you should do before you buy any equipment is audio, because audio is such an important thing. You have no idea. Music alone is going to elevate your scene more than your camera could ever. It's just the truth. I recommend getting maybe like a Tascam and a boom pole or boom mic, you know, just do some investigative research yourself and what best fits your needs. A screenwriting tip actually is give more character to your women characters. I'm guilty of this, you know, trust me. I know the whole like, oh, they're actually symbols. Well, technically all the characters are just give them a little more personality.
Yeah, sure.
Just a little something. Be like, hey, I don't like peanut butter. You know, just something.
Well, isn't that nice?
A little bit. You can't just have them be the object of desire for your main sad indie character. Okay? I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Just, you know, representation, dude. Again, you know, I'm guilty of this. Personally, I should have put more character into, like, the waitress in Atlas Complex. And they weren't supposed to be both women servers. They just ended up being that way, and all the characters were symbols, so that's why I'm saying I know how you're feeling. But I should have done it. When I was working on The County of the Ugly Dead, Linda's character was supposed to be a little more involved, but it was already like a 25-minute movie, and I had to cut some of the stuff, so I was like, yeah, I guess we don't really need this. You do. You really need to just like a little line. Just something, you know? Keep it simple with your dialogue. This is an actual screenwriting advice. Whenever you're writing dialogue for your characters, try not to do like more than 4 or 5 lines. 5 is pushing it. It really is. I mean, if you really want them to have this long speech, I mean, cut it up a little bit, put some action in there, because it's going to start to look like a really white page. And that sounds weird, so let me elaborate a little bit. So when you're writing scripts, the screenwriting format is dialogue is like very centered, you know, like the margins are in, and then, you know, the names are even more, and there's a lot of white negative space on the sides. If there's a lot of dialogue, it's a very dialogue heavy scene or page or whatever, it's very white because of that white space. And when there's a lot of action, you know, that fills up all of the lines, and that means it's like too black. Sometimes it's good not to have dialogue. The only redeeming quality I have for Fear and Loathing of Pale Horse is that I didn't speak a lot. There's not a lot of speaking in there. I think for like the first 5 minutes, except for the first scene, it's very quiet. That's definitely not the right time. You know what I mean. It's very quiet, and you just let the action speak for itself. It might have been too black, but it's always better to be black than white. Ooh. Let's move on. Stop doing diners. Oh my gosh. I know we all want to write our scripts in diners, but we gotta stop. Okay? Now, again, I'm guilty of this. There's a reason diners are so popular is because it's in a public place. So there's a chance you might meet somebody new, or you might run into somebody you know. And also eating. A lot of people have conversations while they're eating, so of course they want to interpret that in their script, and it's just a perfect time to where they're just sitting down and they're talking. Is at a diner. But let's not. You know, you can always change that. Maybe you can put them in somebody's apartment or at a park or somewhere. Like, if it's essential that they need to be eating, or if they have to be, you know, in a public place, or maybe even like waiting. Waiting was really why I put the Atlas Complex, you know, in a diner.
So, are you still waiting on your friend?
Yeah. And then the public place thing, if I'm being honest, I probably could have done like the park or something for the problem with remembering. I really want to include a place that was closed and being like, just hinting to the main character like something's off. Pre-plan. For the love of everything, pre-plan. It helps you so much more than you will ever know. And if you think you're not doing enough pre-planning, guess what?
You're right. And
you can do more pre-planning. I'm talking about shot lists, storyboards if you could do them. You know, having pictures of the location. Table reads. Table reads is an amazing thing to do. Just have like a new voice, you know, read out these words because you think it sounds okay in your head, but then once it's actually said out loud, it sounds ridiculous. A lot of times I'll write a scene and then I'll say it out loud and be like, wow, this doesn't sound natural. And then I'll rewrite it. Or you can maybe just do it with a friend, you know, just have the words say out loud. And then I think a table read would definitely help because then you hear how the characters are talking and the actor is getting more into the character, and they can point things out to you that you never think of, or you can explain things to your actor so you don't really have to worry about it on the day, because they're practicing these lines over and over again with these emotions tagged to it. With the problem with remembering, I did a lot of pre-planning. I did storyboards, I did shot lists. I tried to, have the dialogue read out loud. I did all this stuff, and I was still not prepared. I really wasn't. So just pre-plan. This is something I'm very guilty of, and I'm probably shouldn't be proud of it, but I am. But don't push yourself too much. For someone who has written, directed, starred, edited, produced, literally all the jobs for a movie, and also having a cast attached to it and trying to be a good host, it just gets so stressful and it gets so bad, and that's not healthy. It's not good. You're not being 100% when you're doing that. Okay, you're not doing the best directing you can, and helping the other actors. You're not being the best performance you can get. Just pace yourself a little bit. When I was working on the Atlas Complex, I was working, 50 or so hours a week, and I really only had one day off, which was Sunday, where I was allowed to work in the dining room, where it's very obvious it's a Chick-fil-A dining room. I don't know why I couldn't have done a little better job. Oh wait, that's right, because I was the only crew member. There was no other crew members. I think I had a friend or two try to help, but they were acting in it, so they were focusing on the acting part of it. We would film until I couldn't stand up. That's how bad it was. My face would be green and I couldn't do it. I was not acting in it. Previously, when I did County of the Ugly Dead, I was doing everything. I was the main star and doing all this. And that was a long movie. That was a long time it took, and it was ridiculous. I don't know why I did that to myself. You just have to put trust in the people around you. If you have people around you, luckily, that are trying to help, then use them. For the love of everything, use them. Be nice. Do this or that for them. And if they don't know how to do something, then teach them yourself. Just don't stress yourself out like I did, because it was... I'm going bald, okay? That's all I gotta... I have more advice. If you guys want it, please let me know. I'd love to help however I can. You learn anything, or...? No clue. But I will say it was nice going back at my old videos and watching them again, even though I'm early in my career. They're laughably bad, but I just learned so much. And that's what you just gotta remember. With every failure, it's a lesson. What is it? That Thomas Edison jerkwad. He was like, oh, I didn't learn how to make just a light bulb. I also learned how not to make it 99 times. He was the worst. Edison? Ah, my gosh. Look into that guy. It's crazy. He's done so many bad things. He's possibly responsible for a couple murders and disappearances. Look into the first film ever made. I always try to kind of include something like that. So Tinder, dating apps, Bumble, other ones. What's there to say about them?
Well, we wanted to come up with another segment for today, and this one, believe it or not, has been on my mind. Let's get real honest here. I'm on dating apps and I'm not enjoying them, and not because I can't match or because I can't date. It's I don't like how the things are set up. I understand that they're a product, and I am somebody who is a user, and these are businesses that are somehow making money off of people trying to find real connections in this world. And that's if people really are looking for real connections. So we've had dating apps for close to a decade now. How has it changed the world? How has it changed dating? And what works and what doesn't? I wanted to open up a discussion about it because this is a real concern for people who are trying to meet other people in a post-pandemic world. It's an interesting time to be alive and looking for love. So, I mean, where would you like to kick this off? Dan, are you keen to talk about business? Roland, do you want to talk about the history? Do you want me to talk about the schemas? What's interesting to you? And if you're watching, you know, what's going on with you? What's worked for you? What sucks about it for you? Let's keep this dialogue open and figure out how we can solve this for everybody.
Yeah, I can. I'm just gonna give like a high level of like the business side of it. Obviously, I
Sure.
think there's a lot of parallels to be drawn with what's happening in the world of streaming, because ultimately these apps and these sites, they're all subscription based, right? So they have the need to report numbers and and metrics and goals that they need to reach. So they've got things like you have a base subscription price, you pay that monthly, and then you have add-ons, and then you have like these things you can buy, whether it's on the site or on the app, or usually it's a combination of if you either go to the website or download the app. There's add-on stuff. It's kind of like, how even gaming is where gaming is going. So the point I'm trying to make here is with dating sites and dating apps, I think the goal originally was let's create an opportunity for connection and authentic relationships and bring people together in through the internet, which from the day of Web 1.0 with back in the 90s in chat rooms all the way to the age of Facebook and Twitter to now where we are today. I think that's always been part of the conversation, but now it's been monetized.
We started out with websites, and online dating was a little bit stigmatized, but it was for people who said real life dating, it's hard for me to show all of these facets of myself to people in a social situation where I feel awkward, and I can connect better with people on the internet. There was Plenty of Fish, OkCupid, eHarmony, and Match, and this was your final attempt at meeting somebody outside of your social circle. And this was prior to having a Facebook account and prior to having an Instagram account and all of these different representations of who you are and a persona you construct for yourself online. And we, millennials certainly, have put so much time and effort into constructing, a character that is our social media presence. And when Tinder started, it was based on Grindr. That's why the names are so similar. It really was more about hooking up. It was a hookup app. It knew it was a hookup app. But for people who were just putting their foot in the water, you really could have a genuine connection with somebody. I did in the early days of Tinder. Like, I had a good relationship come out of it. But what I find is that once they've been around for a long time, everybody sort of learns how they work. They go, oh, don't do that because that means this, or do this because then you get, and you're gamifying it. And everybody sort of learned how to perform, how to take a certain picture. What's your experience with it, Roland?
I mean, I want to argue with what you're saying, but
please do.
No, well, the thing is, you're right. It's a very fast. Dan's freaking out through editing. A lot of these dating apps are very fast. A lot of people put everything that they can in their bio and like, oh, I like this, I don't like this. And for competitive people, it does become a game. They're like, oh, I can't relate with this. No. Oh, this is cool. Yes. And it's a pick and choose, and it very quickly become a very shallow and gross thing, and
and you get to a point where you start, it gives you a false sense of superiority where it's like, nope, you don't stand. And then when you finally like, and then I'm trying to start a conversation, and on the other end it's, I've heard that one before, or can't you come up with anything better? And it's, why do we know how all of this is supposed to work?
Oh,
and
I
on
hated
the flip
that.
side, the flip side, it's almost become the norm, where if you do go out to a bar, if you do just strike up a conversation with somebody on the street, it's like, what's wrong with you? What are you?
Yeah.
Are you trying to talk to me? You don't do that. And it's so strange because we don't know. Like, I don't know about people walking down the street. Your height, your age, your religion, your political beliefs, your favorite movie quote. That's not how you meet a person.
Yeah.
You happen to be in the same place. And just by that alone, you probably live around the same area. And you can maybe glean some other details about their lives and wonder, what else do we have in common?
Mm-hmm.
When you can look at pictures, or you can look at like a list of my hobbies and interests, and by the way, don't even bother if you're blank, blank, blank. More of this functions to push people away and say, you're probably not right for me. And beyond that,
you can say that, but at the same time, you can find a lot of people who have those similar interests. If you put on your bio like, oh, hey, I like this show.
Yeah.
It's such a good starter because it's like, oh my gosh, all my friends don't know any of this show. This is great.
Okay.
And
however,
it's very...
okay. However, I cannot tell you how many profiles I've swooped through. I'm making it happen.
I like it.
Past tense of swipe. How many I've swooped through that mention pineapple pizza, Disney, the Marvel MCU, and The Office.
I was gonna say Office. That was
every single one. It's like, is it a joke? Are they all planning this? Also in LA, they're all actresses. They're all or models or singers or something, and they all have professional photographers, and they all take a shot in front of the pink wall with the wings on it. I mean, it's incredible how hard it is to just show your authentic self. And so what I did, because I realized like I want to find something genuine, I have to show that I'm genuine. So I'm currently on Hinge, if you're looking. And there's a that's what this was. This whole thing was a ruse. But what I notice is that like, I don't want to show great pictures of myself because I'm not just a great picture. I took a walk and I started talking to the camera. I said, this is who I am. I take a lot of walks. This is what I do. This is my life. This is how I talk. You know that by the time you see me, this is what my voice will sound like. This is who I would love to see more video stuff. I'd love to see people really showing their personality, because I do find we do so much posing.
Yeah.
That it would be better if we could really show who we were and not just list out our interests. And you can get a better vibe, I think, from video. That's my personal attempt at a solution. Do you have anything else that you had
something to say?
Yeah, no, you mentioned before, Andrew, I don't know if this was on an episode of a show or we were just kind of talking about it off air at some point, but you mentioned that one of the things that happens on dating apps is after a while it just feels like everybody, and you kind of brought it up, I don't know, indirectly almost, where you said people respond to you like, hey, I've heard that before, or you seem like every other person I've talked to on the app or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I think that effect is, there's like the upside and the downside of using something like this. Like you said, like you walk up to somebody in person, you may have the same conversation with 5 people in person the same day, within the same few hours even. Mm-hmm. But you will remember those conversations differently because your brain is taking in all the stimulus around the conversation and you remember each of those differently. Whereas you do that on a dating app or a site, they're going to all seem like, cognitively, the part of you knows you were talking to a different person each time. But then the part of you will sort of remember it as, oh, this is all, it was all on insert name of dating site here. So it's almost like you're interacting with the dating site and not with the person on the other end. Yeah. And that's where I think some of the lack of connection comes from. And then getting the biographical data, I think, okay, one more point before you respond. Like you said, I highly doubt if you meet somebody in person, like how long would it take you on average to ask them some of the information you find on people's profiles, right?
It's insane.
It's
insane.
And it's
and that
almost
can all get
to
in
me,
the way of a real connection. You know, you could have
Yeah.
all of those things be diametrically opposed, but just really click. That's fine. It's okay to be completely different from somebody, and you actually find that you appreciate them more.
That's a
and
good
I think
point.
part of what again creates that distance there is you will probably most people associate that kind of biographic information to like know that up front with like you're reading like the arrest report from somebody who's about to be incarcerated, and that's like the or like one thing comes to mind is like the police radio, or like it comes to my every time I fill out like a job application, like when it comes to those questions, and it's optional, but I always fill them out like, are you male, female, are you what race are you Hispanic or Latino, yes or no. Oh, another menu. So if you're not Hispanic or Latino, what are you? You're Asian, or like, and then do you have a disability? And then I just always start thinking to myself, oh, there's like a cop somewhere on the radio saying, all right, we've got an Asian male, disabled, like running, or non-disabled, like running away with
5'6", probably Democrat.
with the bread out of the store, and then it just it feels to me like and that effect, I think, kind of is what sometimes people fault for on these apps, because you're not. So I like your idea. I think video would be a fit, because if that's your first interaction, because images don't do it nearly enough justice, I think.
And
so we're all
my
used to
God.
it, if only to break us from the pattern.
Sure. I mean, everything is a performance right now on every other social media. And that's the other thing, is every other app is a dating app if you message a person. And that's to say that this is for dating, or this is the app, designed to be deleted because everybody's looking for a real connection. It's redundant, and it does do a little bit of the legwork for you, but back to your point about images are so fake, and the filters on these things, and the lighting and the production that goes into producing an image of who your ideal self is. Of course I can't date that.
I was gonna say, like, one of my big pros for dating apps was kind of like a venting process. It's like, oh, you look at these things, oh, they have basic photos, I like, this is not good. I always was a big fan of candid photos. Like, if they're like a little bit ugly, I love those photos. I try to make them included. But I think you're right, Andrew. When you're talking through a computer screen, that's what you're doing. You're talking through a computer screen. There's no risk. There's no excitement. There's nothing necessarily new about it. You're just talking to a computer. So you're going through very data analysts of going through these people. But I will say something that I've noticed is there's this weird confidence people have with dating apps that they would never have in real life.
Oh, that's for sure.
And sometimes it can be bad, but sometimes it can be cute. Like I've heard of stories of friends who match on Tinder, and depending on how one person reacts, the other person can play it off as a joke, or they're like, oh wow, I never knew you felt like this, maybe we can try something, and it turns out well.
My advice to you, if that's happened, if it starts as a joke, it can end seriously. Test even you wearing a hat as a joke, you can end up wearing the hat for real, But I like your hat. I wasn't about your hat. That was about hats.
I will say, I'm not in the dating app world anymore. I just celebrated my first year anniversary with my girlfriend.
Happy.
Shout out to you, Campbell. She's great. But one of the worst things I always hated was the first line, like the first thing you type out, because you can be basic. You'd be like, hey, or what's up, or which never get a response. But what I always did was, I'm sorry, Andrew.
No.
What I always did was, what's your favorite movie? And do you like cheesy pickup lines? And I would try to make like a cheesy pickup line off of a movie. And there was one, some girl said, "Remember the Titans." Do you remember this movie?
Yeah.
Well, and there's this one scene. This is not good. there's this one scene where one of the characters gets hit by a truck. I think his name was Jake or something like that. And he went to the hospital. He was paralyzed and something like that. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
It's been a while, but keep going.
This is terrible. And Dan, you can bleep this if you want. I like to keep Dan on his toes. But I said, hey, why don't we do role play? And I was joking. I was like, why don't we do role play? You can be Jake and I can be the 18-wheeler because you're not going to be able to walk tomorrow.
That was ballsy.
It was.
Wow.
All she said was, oh. And it was my favorite thing. It was great.
I love that.
Okay.
All right. That's fantastic. Just for the confidence.
We were getting way too serious. I needed to end it off with a horrible light
That's
story.
fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Imperfect.
If I'm gonna wrap this up, let me just say, if you show up to a date, make sure you look like your picture. And that's pretty much where I'd like to end it. Let's move on to sports.
Yeah, talking about a lot of different things today. We got the NFL draft happened. I'm actually watching the NBA playoffs on the side, and so we talked about that. But yeah, Brian and I got a chance to hit some stories.
Let's take a look. It's time for sports with Dan and Brian.
A.J. Brown stole the headlines at the NFL draft this week, away from the Jets, who were doing pretty well for once.
Yeah, but the real kicker is that one lucky couple got married at the draft. Dun 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 dun.
Brianna and Toby, now man and wife.
Joel Embiid is set to miss at least 2 of the first games of the Sixers' second-round series against the Heat. This, of course, is after he took an elbow to the face by Pascal Siakam last week.
Yeah, but do you think Doc Rivers has any regrets about leaving Embiid out there with like a 29-point lead and just 4 minutes left to go in the game?
I'm about to answer that, all right?
For the first time since 2007, 2 punters were selected in the first 4 rounds of the NFL draft. Do you have a good footing on this story, Brian?
No, not really, but all I know is they weren't the ones who took a wrong turn on their way up to the stage. So the hockey playoffs are here, Daniel. Who do you have skating their way to the Stanley Cup?
Color me not interested.
There goes Jeff Hansen into the corner.
What?
That was a lot of fun. Okay, this is the open mic where we can talk about whatever we want.
Dan, I know you have so much fun editing those.
Yeah. We can talk whatever we like.
Well, what would you guys like to talk about? Do you have anything, or should I just go straight into talking about t-shirts?
I don't know. That bidet conversation last week was fun.
It was.
Do we have any more meat on the bone there? Or
for bidets?
More like meat off the meat.
Don't say
I don't know where I was going with that one. That was not right.
There's definitely some imagery to the beginning of that sentence.
It was cool. I tried it again. It was nice.
You gotta get you don't try it again. You try it once, and now you're a guy who uses bidets.
Well, I did it. And,
you're a guy who uses bidets now.
You know what else I did? Horse riding. You guys ride horses? You ever tried that?
Okay. Yeah.
Dude, I did that like yesterday. It's crazy. You're looking at an animal.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird thing. I mean, well, no.
Really?
I know I live in the South, but no.
Well,
these are like 7 feet tall, and you're looking at it, and it's like you are an alien creature. This should not. And then you ride them, and then you give them a little. They have personalities. It's crazy.
Horses are really neat. We had summer camp out here, and every summer camp in California has horses. And so I've literally been riding horses, not regularly, but since I was like 7. And you can go on horse trails out here. Like, yeah, it's a fun time. I haven't done that in a while. I got to get back to the horses.
It was cool. My guy had like munchies. Like we would be like, we're going on this weird trail, like hiking trail, and we're just walking, and we're going down this very like steep hill, and he just stops halfway through to eat a branch. And I was told like, hey, don't let them eat anything. So you have to like, it's like read the room, you know?
Totally. No, and it's like you start to communicate with it, and you are able to really connect with a horse, and like you can signal it. Let's go faster. Let's hold back. Stop. And even just like getting to a solid pace. Like there is something to communicating with animals that I think also carries over to communicating with people, because we are animals. But like you can get a sense of what it's thinking. People should really spend time with animals so that they can understand the animal within the person. That's my thinking.
Well, Dan,
is that a Rob Schneider movie reference there?
No, but what a great movie.
You know what's weird? So I grew up sort of, and when I watched that movie a long time ago, and it was one of those movies that I always had fun watching. As a kid, I probably like missed half the references in the movie and all the
That's
undertone.
Probably, I could probably get more out of it these days.
But it's a movie that had sort of like left my brain for the longest time until you brought it up. What was it, last week or 2 weeks ago?
That was the first episode of Moon Knight.
Yeah, I don't know how you made that comparison, but
that's just how it made me feel. It
took me like a while to like, oh, that movie. I'm like, okay, oh, I get it. Well, no, I still don't get it, but like,
you don't?
I don't get the connection, how you're making that connection, but
because he would wake up in different places and be like, oh, I don't really remember that, and it was like, oh, and then he would go out at night and he'd do the other stuff, and it was it felt, it had the same kind of deliberate disjointedness.
I had so much fun with that. I actually have to find, because I don't own it in any way, like, so I have to figure out a way to like get my hands on that movie again, and I've not seen it in years, but I remember like having such a good time every time I watched that movie, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like I love Rob Schneider stuff in general, and like, you know, what him and Adam Sandler get up to, no good. Benchwarmers is one of those guilty pleasure movies I'll always check out.
I did watch that a lot as a kid.
It's so much fun. And Dodgeball. I mean,
Dodgeball.
Was he in there? I don't know. Well, it's sort of
that was Ben Stiller. And,
that's coming to Netflix this May or this month.
I think it's on Disney Plus right now.
Dodgeball.
Dodgeball.
Well, wasn't it like a Fox movie? So now Disney owns it, and I thought it was.
Yes.
Well, anyway, Dodgeball. Yeah. How do we get to Dodgeball?
I don't know. I never know.
You know, one of the things you touched upon in the quick hits, I want to kind of get your opinion on this. I had a lot of fun with like the quick hits this week because our favorite family was in the news again. So I think we should definitely talk about that.
Your brother never told you never threaten a man's family?
A lot of directors dropping out of movies this week.
Yes, what else? That was the theme.
Well, John Watts with the Fantastic Four reboot.
Yeah, well, Justin Lin dropped out of the Fast X. And that movie's in production. Like a week or so into production, he dropped out. Which I'm like, why? Oh, I mean,
did they say why?
Not really. I guess I read the article where they talked about like what his statement was, and it was pretty much like not even like a real reason as far as I can remember. It was just he just kind of dropped out.
They're probably playing it nice for like, you know, the press, but probably just, you know, multiple voices coming in and thinking that their voice is the right voice, and he was probably just tired of being undermined.
Let's see. Oh, by the way,
we gotta talk Barbie. We gotta talk Barbie. I'm seeing Barbie on the screen. We gotta talk Barbie.
I'm so upset.
We gotta
about the Aqua
sorry.
news.
Can we talk about So I don't care about the Aqua news. I know
the Aqua news is the news. That
is the news.
That picture's the news. Today on the news, that picture. No, so we were kind of taking bets on like, do you think the Barbie girl song is gonna make an appearance?
We were talking about predictions. We were doing this, like we genuinely had like this long conversation about it in the group chat, and I made a big one that I was very confident about. I was like, I think Doja Cat is probably going to do like a rendition of Aqua's Barbie Girl. I was like,
I feel like somebody would.
Yeah, and then I think the next day, something like that, this news pops up.
Yeah. What does it actually say? Is there a reason, or there's just one of those articles where the article is the headline?
Well, it's sort of. All right, so here's this one person on Twitter who felt much the same way that we did, which is if Barbie Girl by Aqua is not in the end credits of the Barbie movie, he wants his money back, and so would I. But to that, Artavana said that if oh wait, no, this is the same thing, same request. All right, well, let's move on. So
wait, so is it because like thematically this Barbie movie's gonna be different? Do we know anything else about the movie?
Not sure. Isn't it Ryan Gosling who's playing like the
Ken?
He's playing Ken.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
By the way, this piece of news doesn't come from the producers of the movie, and Variety reached out to Warner Brothers for comment, and they haven't heard anything from them. As far as I can tell, this article hasn't
maybe
been
there's still a
with
shot.
Anything. Huh?
Maybe there's still a shot maybe it won't be Aqua, but maybe they're buying
there may
the
be
rights.
A cover.
So so that Doja Cat can, in fact, cover.
By the way, just to answer your question from earlier, the manager or agent who manages Aqua lead singer Lene Nystrom, is that her name? He said, so that's where the story comes from, and he said the song will not be used in the movie. So it's from the agent of the singer of that song. But given how early they are in production on this movie, I don't doubt that there may be some change.
You know, you just
wait. So does that mean that version of the song is not going to be in it?
Yeah, it says Aqua's Barbie Girl, so maybe somebody else.
I think you guys are on the same level of what I'm thinking.
So that's the thing with so much nostalgia happening, and you know, like that song is as iconic as the doll at this point, maybe less. But I feel like just to do the fan service, which is a really big trend in Hollywood right now, like of course you have to do that. But then again, they didn't do it for Ghostbusters, and I thought maybe The Weeknd would do it. Who knows?
I think there's some controversial lyrics in that song that maybe the reason why. Well, there's a whole paragraph about it here. Apparently, Mattel filed a lawsuit against MCA Records, who was the record that published the song, and MCA Records is now part of Universal Music. And the lawsuit was all about there's some suggestive language and there's a flirtatious tone, because in the song I think Ken says like kiss me here or touch me there, or
not Ghostbusters. I was like,
can undress me everywhere.
I was like, yeah, there's that undress
there's
me
that
everywhere. But you know, they've
maybe
changed
they can cut
lyrics
that out.
before. They've changed lyrics before.
Maybe they can Al Yankovic that part.
They could absolutely
turn it into something else.
That's not even the most iconic part of the song. It's just all you need is I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. It could literally. They've changed lyrics before. They could do it.
Hey Roland, since you brought this up, what would Doja Cat's version sound like? I don't, because I didn't even know what Doja Cat was until like last year. You did your Halloween costumes video, and Doja Cat was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think in that video you were like, "What is a Doja Cat?" or something like that, and then you were like, "Oh yeah," because she was one of the people you reviewed her Halloween costume.
Yeah, Doja Cat's dope. She's been killing it for. I know that she came by Boone, which is where I went to college, 2019, and she was becoming really hot then. So she's been around for a little bit, but she's like how do I explain? Genres are so hard to explain nowadays. I don't know if anybody else is feeling that same problem, but because there's so many genres.
It's the too many cooks problem. It's the MCU. Everything's trying to be everything.
Yeah. I mean, movies and music and like TV show. Well, not TV shows, but there's a lot of blending that's going on. But she's I guess hip hop. If you want to do it like to the bare necessities. She's cool though. She definitely makes good use of like her internet, and she's funny, and I'm probably giving her a bad pitch after just bragging about how I can do a pitch, but she's cool, and she gets the
I think you're stalling because you don't want to tell us how it would sound.
Yeah, that's kind of the
request. I don't know, like I don't.
Could you please drop a beat and perform Barbie Girl in the style of Doja Cat?
I'm trying to say it ain't so. Wait, I'm a Barbie girl.
The hands are really
in
necessary.
a Barbie world. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. What am I? I'm doing.
That is a reel. See you on Instagram.
You know what's so funny? I was at the end of it and I was like, Dan's gonna make this a reel, and I'm gonna have to.
I'm not the one who makes the reels. That's all Andrew.
Who makes the reels?
Yeah, Andrew makes the reels.
Yeah, that's
Hey, we talked about family. We talked about bidets. Random stuff.
A lot.
I guess Barbie, you can file under that. Doja Cat.
Sure. Yeah.
Boomer question was I don't know if that joke landed because I was asking you guys the boomer question earlier in our chat, like what is a Doja Cat? I just don't.
Yeah.
I feel like now I'm starting to feel old because there's fewer examples of music that comes out that I listen to that I'm like, okay. Like I feel like my playlist is constantly taking more stuff from back in the day than it is from stuff that's current. And it's starting to dry up. And I don't know if that just means like I'm hitting that age where my tastes are sort of
It's not age. It's just that culture has passed us by. And now we are not the target demographic for everything. We are old.
That feels sad.
We are millennials.
Yeah, you guys are old.
Yeah. Well, how old are you, Roland?
You guys. Yeah. You guys.
You guys.
How old are you?
How old are you?
I'm 27. I'm almost 28.
I'm 22 at the end of this month.
22?
Oh my god. Did not know that.
He's a
Zoomer.
You
were really legal age when we hired you.
The mustache covers my youthfulness.
Yeah.
That's why I keep it.
That's not a huge difference though. It's not like
you'd be I'll
well, actually, no. I've changed quite a bit since I was 22.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Boy, more on that later.
Yeah. You know what we didn't get to talk about was something like Restore the Snyderverse or Roland's thought on how Warner Brothers did.
I think that tells you how people feel about the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have some thoughts. I feel like we should save that for like the second edition of Open Mic Night because I really would like to discuss, the whole Justice League and Batman vs Superman and all that stuff. And
oh gosh, I wish it was like 4 years ago because let me tell you something. I would have given you so much content about the Snyderverse. You have no idea. I wrote 2 papers about the Snyderverse and how Warner Brothers did them dirty.
Wow. Can you send us a copy of those papers?
Oh, I don't even know if I still have them. I could look. I could probably look.
I would love to read them before we have a conversation about them. I know in high school I was writing about The Dark Knight, and I even wrote a paper about that in college because of like how good the movie was and the writing and all the different ways in which the philosophy of the movie and how it doesn't make political statements, but it ties into like the politics of the day. Like I think movies like that don't come around often that are blockbuster films that manage to cover so much ground in so many different ways, and yet you can kind of watch them for on the surface level it's a Batman versus the Joker or something like that. Anyway, I feel like we're dragging at this point.
Yeah.
You want to call that a wrap on Open Mic?
That's a wrap on Open Mic.
Yeah.
Yes. Moving on. What have we got? May's best. Oh, that's right. We prepared a list, a movie eliminator, so that we can stop wasting time wondering if we should see everything coming out, because so much comes out on Netflix, on Hulu, in theaters, on HBO. There's just no way to keep up. Well, now there is. Now there's a movie eliminator prepared carefully and lovingly by your friends here at Oh So Curious. Can we take a look at that?
Yeah, we can.
You don't have time to watch all of the movies coming out this month. That's why we're going to help you decide what not to watch. Oh So Curious presents Movie Eliminator, May 2022. Tank House, the Bob's Burgers movie, Senior Year. Homebound, The Twin, Firestarter. Anais in Love, Downton Abbey, A New Era, All My Puny Sorrows. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Top Gun, Maverick. Shepard, Captors, Escape the Field. Don't waste your time.
Actually, Firestarter does look good.
Okay, we're back.
We are back, and next time we will be talking about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This is supposed to be the epic bridge between cinematic universes. This is the visual effects feat of a lifetime. A Benedict Cumberbatch-a-palooza. It's going to be epic, apparently.
I'm excited for Sam Raimi. I'm a huge fan of him. I even have the Evil Dead cabin in the back.
Nice.
For Eagle Eye viewers. I don't care about Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange, though. I'm just going to say it. I think his portrayal is very fake. And no bueno for me.
You don't
really
fake because of what? Because of his American accent, or?
It's his accent. It's how obvious his hair is. There's just everything about him.
You think he's too young to play the
doesn't
character?
sit well with. No, it's not about the age. It's not about. I don't know. The thing is, like, I know Benedict Cumberbatch is a good actor, and I've seen him in multiple things, and he knocks it out of the park each time. But this one, I just can't stand. I think his performance is terrible. His accent just seems very just flat and dry.
I've noticed with British actors playing American actors or playing American characters, they always push it into their nose a little bit, and they become like nasally Americans, you know, versus their British baritones. Like they do this weird thing. And it's like, do they think that everybody, like Dr. House, what's his name?
Hugh Laurie.
He was like the first guy to really do that, and now every British character sounds like House when they're an American. It's odd. I pay attention.
Wow.
The one thing I will say, I'll agree with you, Roland, is that hairline. Because it wasn't until I watched what's that movie called, The Power of Dog, that I realized just how much work they do to like give him the perfect hairline for every movie. It's you know, but it's sort of weird because it kind of leads me to what my thoughts are about like the Marvel Cinematic Universe in general, because I feel like now they're in a position where they have to either introduce new A-list characters into their roster, because like a lot of the previous generation are gone, or elevate people to that next level. Like you obviously have, I think in this movie they're going to try to elevate Scarlet Witch. Doctor Strange is taking on a more central role seemingly, but I feel like some of these characters they're starting to dive deeper into their catalog, and while they do a pretty good job of drawing interest, I just feel like the source material isn't as strong as what some of the, you know, those other characters had. And that's what worries me, and not just worries me, sometimes they just don't connect. I don't know. Like this movie has so much going for it. If you go by the trailers, just the cameos alone will probably draw a lot of people, but Doctor Strange as a character was just not somebody who I ever truly felt endeared to, I suppose.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the Doctor Strange stuff. I know that WandaVision is like required watching for some of this. I didn't see Shang-Chi. I didn't, you know, my last, and actually like one of my first, I saw the Guardians of the Galaxy movies 1 and 2. I saw Spider-Man, this most recent one. And I will say, like, Marvel always does a good job of catching you up and making the story accessible if you haven't seen everything that comes before it. So I'm going to be going into this kind of blind, with my only context being he's been part of the Avengers. He's a friend to Spider-Man. This is probably taking place after not Into the Spider-Verse, after Homecoming.
Did you see the first
No Way Home?
No Way Home.
No Way Home.
They all have home in the title.
It can kind of get confusing, it was,
Did I see what? The first
Did you see the first Doctor Strange?
No.
Okay. All right.
No.
I'll be honest, that movie was pretty inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. If anything, that felt like they did a lesser version of the Iron Man movie, the first Iron Man movie, because he came across as like a Tony Stark, except he was a doctor and not an engineer. Just the personality traits. I'm not saying like his vocational stuff, or the personality traits were the same. I mean, there was some good stuff about that movie, but even visually, I feel like people like that went to see that movie and they were like, oh, they did that Inception thing because of things like cityscapes folding in, and I like the visuals. I think Mads Mikkelsen was a good part of that film, but it's just in the grand scheme of things, that first Doctor Strange movie was sort of like, is there so you can now have a reason for Doctor Strange to exist in the world without him just randomly showing in an Avengers movie, which I think it's like after that movie, the next one he's in, he makes like a cameo in the Thor Ragnarok, and then he's in Avengers Infinity War. So you really don't get a lot of screen time for him from that point to Infinity War, and he's a big part of Infinity War. So I see the reason for that movie to exist, but I don't. I guess they could have introduced him like Black Panther and Civil War. I would have taken that too. So
they jump around so much in time and space in these things that, like, everything's sort of in media res. You could just like, I guess this is where we are in a story, and they're entertaining and they do plenty of fan service in these movies. When you can show up in any number of movies per year, I'm just wondering about the type of residual payments these guys get, because they're in everything, even if just for a couple frames. Like we talked about Daredevil showing up in Spider-Man. Like, he's now in that movie, and now
that movie made like $2 billion.
I know, and now he can appear in any Marvel movie going forward. And if he does, it's like, that's just financially, what a wonderful way to get set up with residuals as an actor, being in the MCU. I don't know. That was my main takeaway just now.
Yeah. No, I agree. I thought Daniel was going to say something, and he just left you hanging.
No, I'll say this. I haven't bought my tickets for this movie yet, and I am worried that I won't be able to go see it before we do our next episode. Really? So like, that is something that I've got on my mind right now, because it is a movie that when the tickets went on sale, it like, started crashing some servers, or at least things were going pretty slow, and like Fandango had some trouble. I know the AMC site crashed for a short while, and I don't know if that's a reflection of those sites not being set up well enough, because the pre-sales were not as good as Spider-Man No Way Home, but it was, really good. So there's a lot of people who are going to go see it on the first weekend. I just think this is one of those movies where the expectations have been set so high. There's a high chance that a lot of people might walk out disappointed, because they've got all these theories for things that are going to happen, which will probably not happen. So that's my concern. I mean, I'm going into it thinking, I'm sort of in the same mindset for this that I was for the Batman, because the Batman hype kept going for so long that eventually I sort of like got over it, and I was like, I don't know, I've seen so much of this and it may not be that good. And then I started to doubt my own hype, and I feel like with this movie the same thing has happened. And I remember my experience watching the Batman in IMAX, mind you, was not nearly as good as when like a month later I watched it at home on my 65-inch TV with my home theater sound. And I'm like, how did I have a better experience watching it at home than on IMAX with like the giant screen and the huge sound system? And I think it's because my expectations were different. So I feel like that's going to happen with me on this one, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. I'm actually optimistic about it. There is definitely a lot of hype. I've been seeing a lot of matinees lately, which is a good way to hack the ticket things. Also, theaters have been kind of empty, but maybe that's just a matinee thing.
I think it's a matinee thing, yeah.
But yeah, that's my life hack.
Can I ask you a question? Do you often go see movies like on your own, or do you feel compelled to like bring somebody with you?
You mean like when I go to the movies, do I go alone?
Yeah, like I mean, especially like say for example, it's a matinee and you need to go. I don't know, like did you go see Memory with somebody, or was that just like a solo trip to the theater?
Almost everything that I've seen in theaters for the last like 2 years, which isn't a lot because some of those 2 years were lockdown, but I've seen alone. Yeah. And I like going to the movies. I actually prefer going to the movies alone because, you know, I like to be engrossed by whatever media I'm taking in. With music, I like having headphones and I like blasting it and just really taking it all in. With movies, to have distractions is annoying. I agree with you though, like I have fewer distractions at home, but you can't beat the sound of a theater. You can't beat the screen of a theater. I like the coming attractions. I like, you know, all of that stuff. I do not care for the virtual reality, augmented reality pre-show stuff, or the Regal Noovie stuff where it's like a YouTube video on screen with people. It's like what we do, but right before the movie. I don't know if you've been seeing any of that stuff.
I've never seen that.
I mean, gosh.
If you're just
rolling it out over here, let me tell you, something obnoxious is coming your way.
Actually,
I know with like AMC theaters, what's always annoying is they play way too many trailers in front of most movies. So like you're sitting there for 20 minutes watching trailers, and then right before the movie starts, you get that Nicole Kidman commercial, and she's
oh my gosh, yes.
The first time I saw that, I was like, what the hell? I'm in the theater waiting to watch a movie, and I'm at AMC, and now I'm getting an AMC commercial.
Yeah, you don't have to promote it. We're here. You have our money. You don't have to do all this.
Yeah.
So there's another theater, like a chain out here, the Lemley Theaters, and they show mostly independent films. But like every once in a while they have a what do you call general release movie. They're a great small family-owned theater chain, and I why did I bring them up? What were you saying?
Advertisements before?
Yeah.
Oh, the advertisement before. So they actually showed a short film from a winning film festival.
Okay.
That was brilliant, and it was a really interesting alternative, and I think it would be a fun way to get people back into theaters if they could like compete to get their short film shown on a screen right before a movie.
That would be awesome. I would love that.
You know, and you would get to see all of these creative individuals. You get people back into theaters, you know, and they're already going to see a movie, so why not? It'd be a wonderful platform to just show what other talent is out there.
I would love, because here's the thing, if you gave me 25 minutes of pre-show stuff, but then you showed like 3, because I think this was was it Alamo Drafthouse, or it was like a theater in LA that is no longer there. They closed down during the pandemic, and they had like a rule where they would only show you 3 trailers before the movie started, and then, you know, it's the movie. And they had like a very like the experience they gave you was different than what you get at Regal and AMC, and it was very much like the strict rules about like don't have your phone on during the movie and stuff, and somebody would come and like actually like tell you to stop, like turn your phone off and stuff. But
like in high school.
Yeah.
Getting called out in front of the.
But talking about like having too many trailers and stuff, I would be down if they showed like 3 trailers, and then like you said, show a short film. Like I'm down like 10-minute, 15-minute short film. Like Pixar sometimes. Remember, like some Pixar movies have like a short film attached to them.
Yeah, no, that was always wonderful. It's a movie tradition where like Looney Tunes or the Three Stooges, like those were shorts
or
that
Tom
you
and
would
Jerry.
See before Tom and Jerry.
Yeah,
all stuff that you would see before a movie. You know, and trailers, by the way, have gotten so formulaic in how they do the sound. It's very quiet, and then whispered thing. do you think that? And then bah, 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 it's not even jarring anymore. It's just like, yeah, it sounds like a trailer.
Everybody wants to make that first Inception trailer with Hans Zimmer's music, like that. Like I think that trend has never gone away since. And
yeah, I think there's a lot of creativity left to be desired.
I don't know. I'm very lucky because I don't have the whole like people, using their phones or talking and stuff, which again, very grateful. But the only time we'll talk is during the trailers, and we'll be like, yeah, we'll watch that one. Or no, that looks terrible. Or like, put me down for a maybe.
I do miss being in a crowded theater though.
Yeah.
Like
it doesn't happen
when
often
you're
these
part
days.
of I know when you're part of a crowd and it's like you hear everybody's little reactions like that, and it's like, oh man, that worked on some people.
I know.
I haven't been in a packed theater, and that's such an experience.
Yeah.
Well, I think
because it makes it so much interactive. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
It just makes it so much interactive, and it enhances the movie even more.
Yeah.
Because you can tell everybody else is excited, and it's genuine. It's not like it's scripted or they're putting it in there like in post. It's so fun, and then whenever there's like a sad moment, there's just this intense silence that just
washes over everybody.
That's
one
the
of those
true
things that
magic, I
brought
think,
people
of cinema,
together.
like the true value. Like it's unique to a theatrical experience versus you can watch it with dozens, like, even if you have like your own personal theater at home and you have like the theater style seating and stuff, even then you'll never have like the feeling of, unless you are like one of those super rich people, which there's probably, you can count the number of people who have that kind of an experience in their house, like on maybe two hands at best, who have like 50 seats in their home theater, but you'll never get that full auditorium like reacting to one thing.
Yeah, and the mix of all these different people, from all different walks of life, showing up at a place with incredible sound, incredible picture, and a message that's meant for all of them, and it resonates with everybody, sometimes exactly the same way, sometimes in all these different ways. And that's the complexity of film, is it's not made just for you. It's art that's meant to be interpreted a million different ways, and part of that is getting the other people's reactions. So all that to say, I hope the theater is packed for this. I hope that when we go to see Doctor Strange in the theaters, that like, I'm hoping that we get more movies that do that.
I think this is going to be one of those movies. Even if you go to a matinee on opening weekend, you'll probably have a packed house because there'll be a lot of other people like you who are trying to sneak in a viewing at a time when it's easy to get hold of tickets. It's also probably easier time of day to go there rather than, you see a lot of families coming in to see movies in the evening hours, and sometimes that could become a distraction potentially if they're young kids and, they're getting unsettled. So I'm excited to see this movie. I don't know if you guys want to get into any kind of predictions for who's showing up in this, but or even if you have any interest in that, I figured.
I have
Bruce Campbell.
Track.
Bruce, the what?
Campbell. Bruce Campbell.
Bruce. What? As who? As
I don't
Ash?
know, but I just want it to happen. I don't care who it is. He can play. I've heard a theory that he might play like a different version of Doctor Strange.
That would be
interesting. And I could maybe see that happening, or maybe it'll be he was planning on being what was his name?
You know what?
Ash?
You know what? I do have a prediction.
No, not Ash.
No.
I do have a prediction.
Okay, tell me your prediction.
I think because they hinted at this in Spider-Man, that who was it? Was it Electro who said, "I just figured Spider-Man would be black." We've seen Into the Spider-Verse with Miles Morales.
That was
it was a funny scene.
Oh, I see where you're getting at.
I have a feeling as long as we're introducing other Marvel universes, I wouldn't be surprised if they introduce Miles Morales live action and show us that version of Spider-Man in this movie. It could be something that we see.
Well, just to kind of, so CinemaCon happened this past week, and Phil Lord and Chris Miller came out and they talked about the next two Spider-Verse movies, the animated ones. Then one is going to come out in 2023, the next one in 2024. I think the first of those two sequels was supposed to come out this year, then it got pushed. Right. And they were talking about, obviously, they showed some footage from it. I don't think it's going to become public for a while. And then I think it was on the same day, but then Disney and Marvel had their presentation to the theater owners, and Kevin Feige came out and he talked about like the next 10-year plan that they have for they were like, they didn't really give too many details, but they said we've got like the next 10 years plotted out. And one thing that a lot of people were thinking about going into this Doctor Strange movie is they're gonna like close out all this multiverse thing here, rather than continuing it.
You close those doors, it also opens up all these other ones. That's, if I'm going to say that that's my prediction, if they don't follow up on it, if it doesn't happen, I'm going to say it's a missed opportunity.
So Kevin Feige said something along the lines of, this multiverse is now another tool in our toolbox. We're using it now, and it's a big part of like the current phase of films, but we can always go back to it in the future. So they're not, I think he pretty much expressly stated that this movie is not going to be the end of the multiverse coming into play within the MCU. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Professor X is going to be in this one. We know Patrick Stewart's coming back. We don't know which version of that, Professor X we're seeing, whether it's the one from the Fox movies or some other version. So we could probably, I mean, I think the Mordo that is in this movie, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, even he, I don't think, is the same Mordo as what we saw in the first Doctor Strange movie. I feel like this is a variation of him. I know he's grown out his hair, but I don't know if that's not my only reason for saying that, because I think when he's got this line in the trailer where he says the biggest threat to the multiverse, Steven, is you, something along those lines, right? And he's talking to Doctor Strange, but then we have seen variants of Doctor Strange in the trailer. So I'm thinking it's possible that this Mordo is like from a different parallel universe who's been fighting a different version of Doctor Strange, who's an evil version, and now our version of Doctor Strange gets pulled into the fray. So obviously the Illuminati, people are thinking maybe we'll get the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards in there, maybe John Krasinski is going to play him. There's thoughts,
Really? John Krasinski?
Well, because he's like a fan casting favorite. Like they never officially said anything, but like Tom Cruise was at one point in the running to play Iron Man before Robert Downey Jr. got it. Yeah. So there's Ultron robots in the trailers. You've seen them like when they're bringing Strange into that chamber. So they think that's connected to the was it Ultimate Iron Man? What is it called? The Superior Iron Man? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like an evil version of Iron Man from an alternate reality. And there's theories
out of curiosity, are there other fan castings for the Fantastic Four that you know about?
Well, they also want. Yeah, go ahead, Roland. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say John Krasinski's real life wife, Emily Blunt. They want to play Sue Storm. It's the most diverse one has always been Johnny Storm.
Right.
I've seen so many. Like there was Zac Efron. There was a.
Some people want Zac Efron to play Wolverine, the new one in the.
They do.
Some
I've seen that. Yeah.
These are mind-blowing in and of themselves. Just
very niche. Wants Daniel Radcliffe to play Wolverine as well.
Whoa. Well, because Wolverine in the comics is tiny, and all we've been used to on screen is Hugh Jackman, who's like 6 feet tall, 6 feet some inches tall. So it would be like it would be comic accurate, but I think for most people who know Wolverine from those movies with Hugh Jackman, it will be like throw them off. Like Daniel Radcliffe, like there's a huge difference in physical stature there. So, and I don't know how much muscle he can put on. Like Hugh Jackman would get ripped for those.
I don't know. We're gonna have to see how much hair he can put on for the Weird Al movie.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think we have dissected this movie enough for now. Let's see what it actually has to offer when it comes out in a week, or less than a week. We're doing this on a Sunday. The movie's coming out in like 4 days, so I'm sure we're all gonna get a chance to see it. I gotta find my tickets, or get my tickets.
Well, is that it? Is that the show?
I think that's it.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this, make sure you share and spread the word about Oh So Curious. We're growing every day. We are reaching out to more and more platforms. Right now, you can subscribe on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Instagram and get nicely condensed clips and birthday reminders of celebrities and whatnot. We do a lot of different things. Comment, that other stuff. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.